Okay everyone, we are at Friday and we're looking ahead to tomorrow's game against Ross County. It's Celtic's final competitive match for over a month, and for that occasion we've got Joe Ledley back on the channel. Joe, how are things?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Not bad, mate, not bad. It's funny because last time we had you on was before the Champions League, I think, or maybe after one game. We were preparing for the Champions League, we were buzzing. Now that's all over, it all happened so quickly. We've got you back on, but we do have a 7 point lead at the top of the table. What have you kind of made of the last, whatever it is, 10 weeks or so since we spoke to you?
Yeah, I remember last time we were discussing about the Champions League and about Celtic trying to break through into the top two. I think it was a difficult group for Celtic, and especially with the likes of Real Madrid in there. We saw the away trip, what they're capable of doing, and I think it's just one of those things where we knew we were going to get out, and we need to concentrate on the league and try and progress and win the title. And we've managed to get points clear now, 7 points clear. So I think that's the vital sort of stage where Celtic are at the moment, is trying to concentrate now on domestic league.
What's it like having a lead like that at the top of the table? Does your focus, your attitude change at all?
No, definitely not. Don't get me wrong. You always want a lead like that. 7 points always makes things a lot easier, especially with dealing with the pressure. But you just got to take it game by game, try and increase that lead. Obviously, be coming against each other again soon, and it's vital. You can't be losing, because the sort of distance will get closer, and you're always looking over your shoulder. You've got to concentrate on yourself and try and get those performances and wins under your belt, because one slip up, then you see it getting narrower and narrower.
Yeah, it does feel as if the team are really focused at the moment, and we've got just one more game to go before the World Cup. Sadly, though, we need to begin by chatting about VAR, the whole VAR situation, because it's had a couple of developments since yesterday's video. First of all, you were saying you were actually having a look at VAR recently, but I think it's the better version of VAR than the one we're used to.
Yeah, that's right. I actually went on an electric car they're doing from Cardiff to Qatar. So I joined on to that, done a little bit of filming. And I went to Geneva, where the headquarters are there with UEFA, and they took us into the VAR room and sat us down, and I managed to have a look at clips. I got every single one right. But there's a lot of technology. There's a lot of things which go behind the scenes which you don't see, and you got to try and make a decision as soon as possible. But it's trying to get that camera angle in the right position, and that was focusing mainly on the Champions League. Obviously, domestic sort of football will be a lot different with camera angles and decision making, that's for sure, which we've seen already over the last few years. Especially down here, down south, some of the decisions which have gone the wrong way. So it's still in that work in progress, I think, at the moment. But they need to make the right decision.
A couple of updates that we have on the whole Motherwell incident in midweek. Update one is that Celtic want clarification from the SFA over Jota's offside, and more particularly why there was no footage from the Motherwell half. Update 2 kind of sorts that out. This is the interesting one. Apparently the image from the Motherwell half wasn't shown because, wait for this, Joe, the camera wasn't focused on the play at that time. Instead it was focused on a close-up of the managers. I guess the issue here is that these cameras are kind of have dual use. The first use being that they're used for VAR, and also they're used for broadcasting purposes. Which is, I think, the way it works around the world. I think even in England they do that, but the difference is that with just 6 cameras, which is all we have for non-broadcast games in Scotland, it's kind of a watered-down version. You're kind of reliant on them watching the play at all times. I mean, what's your thoughts on this? Is there any way around this?
Well, that's absolutely ridiculous. If you got VAR in the stadium, it's got to be set out right. There's no point you zooming into managers and missing an opportunity like that, because those sort of decisions could cost you the league. It's as simple as that. There's so much pressure on these games, being a top two in our league, and the reason why we have this technology is to make sure we get the right decision. And if you can't get the camera angle right, then what's the point of even having it? That's an absolute disgrace. it's disappointing because I do believe that it's good technology. I think it's going in the right direction, but we've seen it week in, week out with the mistakes it makes, and like I said, it could cost anyone titles, and that's what we need to work out and get everything right and set out. I know it is a work in process, like I said earlier, but that's just a mistake which could have handled a lot better.
Yeah. We'll move on from VAR. Quick World Cup squad updates. Cameron Carter-Vickers is in the US squad. You'll be seeing a bit of him, Joe, during later this month. And Jota did not make Portugal's final 26-man squad. I guess that was always going to be a hard one for him to push into their squad.
Oh, definitely. If you look at the Portugal team, I played Portugal in the semi-finals before, and man for man, they're unbelievable. They're playing at the highest level. Don't get me wrong. Jota is one of my favourite players. He's a fantastic player. He's just got to bide his time. He's still young. You can sort of see that Portuguese team coming at that age now, where they're going to be maybe their last tournament. So, I understand the decision. I'm sure he won't be down about it, but he's just got to bide his time and see what happens. And obviously, Carter-Vickers, hopefully he doesn't play against Wales, because I've seen him play in action, and he's a fantastic centre half, and he'll do a job against Kiefer Moore, I'm sure.
Yeah. Elsewhere, I think Aaron Moy is in. Maida is in. Kyogo and Hatate missed out in the Japan squad. Are you surprised with that?
Very surprised. I had a question about this the other day, about who you think would be the sort of outsiders, and I said Japan. Obviously with the link at Celtic and the players that they got, and I saw the squad and those two were in. And I couldn't believe it. Kyogo's been sensational. What a signing! He's been on fire this season, and it's disappointing because I was actually looking forward to seeing these players in the World Cup and seeing how they deal and adapt their game. So it's a very strange one. I don't know why they're not involved. Obviously, there'll be a lot of questions to be answered, and rightly so. I'm sure they'll be very disappointed with the performances that they've done domestically with Celtic. So I've changed my mind now. I'm not going Japan.
Right. Well, that's fair enough. I was going to massively support them, and obviously I still want Maida to do well. But I think the Aussies are going to get my vote now. Maybe Wales, if you can convince me in the next 15 minutes, Joe. But against England, I'll obviously be supporting Wales. I think Juranovic also in as well with Croatia. They're always a good team to watch. Team for tomorrow, just like earlier in the week, I've kind of given this a go. Right, Joe Hart, Anthony Ralston, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Carol Starfelt, Greg Taylor, Matt O'Reilly, David Turnbull, Rail Hatate, Sead Haksabanovic, Georgios Giacomakis and Jota. You're obviously going to want James Forrest in, Joe. We know that. But any other changes other than that? Any players? Because we know Ange's kind of changed his team game to game, so I think he will make a few changes. But with it being the final game, I think it will be, maybe not quite as many changes as he would have made had we had a competitive game in midweek.
Yeah, exactly. I can't see many changes. To be fair, like you said, been the last competitive game for a month now. And you need to go out there and pick your strongest team. Obviously, like I said, I like to see James Forrest come in. He's been a brilliant service to the club. But I think with the final game and knowing that the players will have a few weeks off or a week off and get together, I think it'd be the strongest team possible. And it's like you said, I think that will be the starting lineup. And I think O'Reilly in midfield has been a great force for Celtic. A fantastic player, really drives the team forward. So I can't see Ange doing many changes.
What about the midfield? Because Callum McGregor's obviously been missing for what seems like years at this stage. O'Reilly's been played in that deeper role. We've had Moy coming in. Turnbull's played a bit. Hatate seems to just play every single game. What have you made of that midfield since McGregor kind of limped off in Germany?
Yeah, obviously McGregor's a massive blow. Being captain of the team and the club as well. But I think we are very strong in that area. I think the players who come in can easily adapt to the play. Moy, experienced player with Premier League experience. O'Reilly dropping back. I'm sure, he knows that's not his position, but he's going to have to do a job there. And we always like to see him O'Reilly more of attacking threat. Turnbull as well, who's come back and been solid and popping up with goals. So Tati, we've got a very strong centre midfielding pairing. Whoever comes into that position, and it's good to see. I think the depth of the squad is quality. Whoever you miss will come in, and you can rely on them to do a job. And I think it's important to have that in any club. And I think we're blessed with Celtic with the players that we got and in those sort of positions.
Yeah, I mean, I think domestically anyway, the strength and depth that we have is pretty good. So feel confident about tomorrow. County have picked up a little bit. They've won their last 2 games. They beat Hibs in midweek at Easter Road. Obviously, winning is the main thing with it being the final game, and that's the message I've been given all week. But it would be nice to see an emphatic win tomorrow. I think, given that the last couple of games have been a little bit tighter, Dundee United, Motherwell, they've not been totally convincing. Or am I just being greedy? Is it just about 3 points tomorrow?
Yeah, I think, like you said, we always want to see that sort of 3 to 4-0 and relaxed sort of Celtic performance going into the last 10 minutes. It has been cagey over the last 2 games, Dundee United especially, leaving it to the 90th minute to get 2. So it's the only thing with Ross County is always a difficult place to go. You don't know what sort of team Ross County is going to turn up. They're always going to be sort of determined, or it's going to be a team which they're just going to have their backs against the walls and hanging on for fun. So, I think Celtic just need to go out with an early start, get an early goal, and then just relax and I think they'll be up for it because they know they've got a month off and it's a sort of final game before that period. So I think it's just important for them just to go out there and get as many goals as they can and finish on a high.
Well, I mean, you played in loads of these games against, let's just say, lesser teams at Celtic Park. Was there one? I mean, I expect the atmosphere to be good tomorrow, but it's not going to be rocking. I wouldn't say at kickoff. Is there any kind of advice you could take from your time playing that in these games? Was it important that you kind of got the fans going, or how did it go?
Yeah, I think the fans, it doesn't matter. We always know what the performance that they're going to bring and the attendance and the volume of noise that they're going to bring to the table. I think it's just being patient. Playing away from home is going to be frustrating. They're going to be sitting behind and trying to counter attack, and sometimes you just got to keep moving the ball side to side, trying to wait for that opening, and just keep your head. You've got to keep your discipline as well. They're going to be fired up. They always raise their game against Celtic or Rangers. It's as simple as that. It's never going to be an easy ride. So I think patience is key in these sort of games. But once you do get that opening, you've got to take your chances.
Yeah, I mean, we've scored early goals as well. I think 11 of our 14 league games we've scored within 15 minutes. So, I mean, that bodes well for tomorrow. And you kind of back us again to score early tomorrow.
Yeah, you do. And rightly so, because the quality of the team, especially in attacking areas, Celtic are capable of creating chances from nothing. And then it's just all about putting the ball in the back of the net, which is the hardest part of football. And, defensively being solid at times. Carrying the ball very well. Midfield pairing has been solid as well. And I think it's just been a sort of overall good performance from the whole of the team this season. And rightly so. I think we look solid. And attacking wise, the players who can come on to change a game is frightening. And, an early goal is always a sort of a relief, and then you always have that momentum then to go on to try and get some more. So, for me, I'd love to see a little 3-0 or 4-0.
Yeah, it'd be lovely. It just kind of
Not
send us
asking for
into
much.
the. I know. Well, you have you have history on the channel for expecting big things, Joe. So it's only right that you keep things going.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of questions. The first one I want to spend a wee bit of time on. It's from Eddie Quigley. Can you ask Joe if he thinks he would thrive playing in this Ange system? Personally, I think he would be the perfect kind of midfielder for an Ange team. What do you think? Do you see yourself fitting in? Whose position are you taking in the team? That's a big question.
Oh, it's a tough one. I'd like to be alongside probably Callum McGregor, similar to Brownie, with my sort of partnership in midfield, sort of solid, and sit there and work hard for the team, create chances, get on the end of things. And I'd love to be involved in this team. It's really exciting. team to be in, and like I said, attacking wise, frightening going forward always gets people off their seats. So I would say I'd love to have been a part of this team, but that midfield area, like I said earlier, is solid, and there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of players in that position who could easily step in. So, like I said, I think I'd be the perfect fit for Callum McGregor.
Yeah, it's maybe the one thing we're missing, especially at the moment when McGregor's out, is that kind of box to box. I don't know if you would describe yourself as a box to box midfielder, but
Yeah.
Hatate's a bit of a genius almost. O'Reilly, kind of similar to an extent, although obviously a little bit different. But maybe that energy, that you could defend, you could win the ball back, and you could also, I can imagine you breaking into the box. I feel like that's maybe the one thing this team doesn't do as much. When balls are kind of whipped across, it's usually the winger coming in at the back post.
Yeah.
Don't know if we score too many goals with midfielders running onto the ball, and I could see you adding that to this team.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, especially you hit it on the head. I think with the balls coming in from wide areas, which is getting pulled into those sort of back areas, I think it's one of those where the midfielder should be thriving under, because you should be making those late runs, because as a defender, there's nothing worse than seeing a late attacking midfielder attacking the box. It's so difficult to mark, and because you've got to concentrate on what's behind, what's in front, the strikers pull in. So I think there should be goals in that sort of centre midfield area for the midfielders to be attacking. And like I said, with the attacking force the Celtics got, there's always going to be opportunities for you to get into that box and score.
Yeah. The other question coming in from Graham Tyrrell asked Joe if he's confident about Wales' chances in the World Cup and if there's any surprise players in the squad he expects to shine. Heard good things about young Bale. Apparently his name is Bale. You heard of him?
No. Yeah, it's no. I've been lucky to play in a competition like this, a competitive one, sort of like the Euros. And the most important thing which I learned is you've got to get off to a good start. I think USA is going to be a very tricky game. They've got brilliant individual players. Not sure what they're like collectively as a team. But we've just got that sort of passion and belief and that togetherness. Don't get me wrong, we're probably not the gifted all-round squad of the competition, but it goes a long way when you're all working hard for each other and got each other's back, and the atmosphere from the Welsh fans would always lift you. That sort of 5%, similar to Celtic as well. So, I'd like to say we'd get out of the group stages, but it's going to be a difficult task. But you just never know with Wales. You just don't know. But let's say you get out of the group stages.
Yeah. Memories from games against Ross County. I was looking this up. How many goals did you score against them in total? This is a question I know the answer to.
I know I scored 2 in one game, because I think it was me and Virgil scored.
You both scored 2 headers in one game.
Right. Yeah, I think it was 4-1 or 4-2. I'm going to go for 4.
No, it's just 2. I think.
Oh, is it? No,
unless I'm wrong, I looked it up on
right.
a website. So if you can't remember any others, chances are it's just 2. Any memories from that game, scoring a double? That was away from home, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was quite difficult, I think, the first half. I can't really remember the score, but they made it, like I said earlier, tough. They're pressing really high. They lifted the game. And I think it was a brilliant ball by Fisher, Darnell Fisher on the right side, and managed to get my head on it. And for some reason, me and Virgil were just on fire with our heads. But, to go away scoring 4 goals, that was enough, and rightly so. But like I said, it's sort of that hostile sort of stadium. The fans are close to you, and they do make it difficult.
Yeah. What do you think Celtic have ever scored 4 headers in one game? Crazy.
No.
I mean, I can't imagine it happening again. I mean, that's crazy. But
no, we've had a few high scores, but I don't think it was that many headers.
Yeah, amazing. Final thoughts on tomorrow. Just looking forward to it, and hopefully 3 points, and maybe 10 points clear tomorrow if we win.
Yeah, well, that's the vital part of this. Is just trying to push that gap even further. I think Celtic is going to go for the win. They'll be rightly so. I think we get the 3 points. like I said, my predictions, I'm sticking with that. We're going all out attack. It's going to be 3 or 4-0. I think it's important now for Celtic to try and get back to clean sheets, try and keep that solid base at the back. But yeah, 3 points for Celtic, going in 10 points and relying to see what the other game is going to happen.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Looking forward to it. Enjoy the game tomorrow, everyone. Celtic's final competitive match for over a month. We'll be back with the reaction after the match.